What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. Hope everyone out there is doing well on a Friday. Just wrapped up all of your quarterfinal games out there. So overall, guys, I hope your New Year's day was great. I hope you kicked off the New Year's with some of those New Year's resolutions out there that some of the good people always talk about. So yeah, I hope you guys are some of those people out there that are starting the new year off right. So yeah. As always, guys, we appreciate you all listening to the show, of course. Guys, you can listen to the show on many different streaming platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So if you like the show, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It's definitely important for me and Chris. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So as always, guys, we very much appreciate you all's support with the show. As always, guys, you know who I'm with. I'm with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? I'm feeling good despite an outcome in a game that I would have liked for it to turn out another way, but it's all good. And it's been a interesting quarterfinal round of college football. We got to see some of everything. I feel like in all these games. So definitely been a fun weekend. Fun week, I should say, and looking forward to seeing how the original playoff, the Final Four, plays out.
Exactly. As we're inching closer and closer to that moment, Chris. We're seeing the actual heavyweights, and we talked about it on this show. Who's going to be the actual contenders and who's going to be the pretenders in this first ever 12-team playoff format, and we're seeing it firsthand. And some of these games are very, very close and enjoyable. So, I couldn't have asked for a more entertaining playoff format so far.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. We definitely got some bangers, and we did get a couple some blowouts sprinkled in there too. But that's college football. That's just sports in general. I mean, we've had national championship games end up being blowouts. I.e. Georgia TCU. So this that comes with the territory. But overall, it's been a fun college football playoff for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Well, partner, we're recording this on late Thursday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go ahead and kick this thing off with the game that we just saw on Thursday night between
Let's
Georgia and
do it.
Notre Dame?
Let's get to it. Yes, sir.
All right, folks. So yeah, if you guys watched the game, Notre Dame and Georgia was in the Sugar Bowl. This game was originally supposed to be played on Wednesday, but unfortunately, with the terrorist attacks in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, they had to move the game. And our hearts go out to those affected by that horrific incident. But things did clear out for this game. Of course, we did have the game on Thursday evening, and at the end of it, Chris, we got Notre Dame coming out on top of this one. 23-10 was your score of the game. A great job by Notre Dame stopping Gunnar Stockton. I mean, Gunnar had no shot at all. I thought he was going to play a better game, a cleaner game
Mm-hmm.
than what he had played on Thursday did not happen. That defense from Notre Dame is scary good, and they are definitely showing why they should be knee deep in this playoff format right now. So, hats off to Marcus Freeman and that defense by showing up when they needed to. Yeah, and he did talk
Mm-hmm.
about it after the game. They needed to be resilient. They're going against Georgia. Teams that aren't as resilient, Chris, and you've seen them before, aren't as as lucky as the Notre Dame is, and
Mm-hmm.
I say that without the puns, in terms of getting the job done and winning the ball game. So hats off to that defense by Notre Dame. They really stifled the Georgia offense, and when they needed to score, they did the necessary things to do that they need to do to get into the end zone. So shout out to them. Chris, what were your thoughts about this game? Because man, it seemed like Georgia can never get out of their own way when they needed to make this
That's
close.
been Georgia this season for the most part. I
Yeah,
mean, we've highlighted that how this Georgia team can be so up and down this season. Throughout the podcast, when you are who you are, and this is a Georgia team that if you are a Georgia fan or someone invested in Georgia football, they have driven you insane this season. You have seen this team play as the highest of highs and the lowest of lows all in one game. You saw that in the Alabama game. You know, um, you saw this team look like if DJ Lagway didn't get injured, Florida had a really good shot of possibly beating you in a rivalry game that everybody anticipated you would put the thumping on Florida, and it didn't play out like that. And then you saw this team find a way to beat Texas, who is also another team that knows how to get in their own way too. So I mean,
we'll talk about that a little bit later.
right, right. But overall, Kory, Georgia just played like Georgia has always played this year, and it came back to bite them. A team that wide receivers just let them down all season. We saw the drops in this game. Um, Also, a team whose wide receivers have let them down all season. Just continuous drops, drop after drop. Missed opportunities. Um, I mean, to start the game, Gunner with the fumble. Terrible way to to get the game started.
Terrible situation.
Um, you know, just instantly sets you back, and then to couple that with the kickoff return touchdown to start the second half, and it's tough to come back from that when you're playing your backup quarterback. Your offense, even with Carson Beck, was all over the place, struggled to punctuate drives, to finish drives. The running attack, the rushing attack for Georgia wasn't up to the Georgia standard this season as well. So when you factor in all of that, and you're giving up points on the special teams, you're turning the ball over, you aren't capitalizing on big long plays. You did get a bomb play to Arian Smith, but it didn't even finish with the drive ending in a touchdown. you know, a 66-yard reception, and you don't get a touchdown that drive. Um, it's just moments like that, plays like that, that will come back to bite you. And the Notre Dame team that played very disciplined, sound football. The defense, like you said, was on fire all over the place, and it made life very difficult for an experienced QB. And Notre Dame, it wasn't sexy, but it was effective. And you get the win. That's all that matters at this point. At this point of the season, and if you're a Fighting Irish fan, you're happy. And it's a much deserved win. You made fewer mistakes in this game, and in a game that wasn't filled with explosive plays, to be the team to make the least amount of mistakes, that will by default a lot of times win you the game, and that's what happened here, I think.
Yeah, partner. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Chris. It's it was a great um just situation just to see play out throughout this game, and how Notre Dame made sure to cut the legs from under Georgia to make this game a short game the way that they that they could. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, this wasn't a sexy game by any means at all, folks. Like this was an ugly game, but I think Notre Dame kind of knew that this could possibly be there going in, so they were pretty much like, "Hey, let's do this." And they've
Mm-hmm.
had experience playing some ugly games like this. So when you look at these two teams going head to head against each other, Chris, I can see this scenario happening. And hats off to Notre Dame by executing the plays that they needed to get ahead at the right time. Because had they kept playing around and made this game short, but also the score wasn't as much of a gap between the two. Georgia's there for a reason, and Marcus Freeman did mention it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, possibly they could have found a way to come back,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after so long if they allowed them to do that. But Notre Dame did a heck of a job in making sure that they didn't do that, and they needed to, and that's why they walked out of New Orleans with the victory today. Um, so yeah, I think overall, they did about as good as a job as they possibly could in stopping Georgia. And the games that Georgia has lost, we I think about that Ole Miss game. That Ole Miss game was not the best looking game either.
Mm-hmm.
And that got them at another loss against the
Mm-hmm.
Rebels. So, hats off at Notre Dame, like I said, in capitalizing the off of the mistakes from Georgia. And hey, they got the victory the way they needed to. So, yeah, man, I think if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're going to sleep easy over this
Yeah.
weekend.
No, you definitely are feeling good about getting this win. Marcus Freeman, shout out to him. Big win for his legacy, his resume.
Absolutely.
You got a win against Kirby Smart, one of the premier coaches in college football, under your belt now in the playoff. Um, and you're in line to possibly play for a national championship.
Hmm.
Um, got to get past Penn State.
Yeah.
So that would be an interesting matchup. Two teams, one out of Pennsylvania and the other in Indiana. Similar styles of football, even though Notre Dame isn't a Big Ten team, they give you Big Ten football vibes. So that'll be a fun matchup. But big win for Marcus Freeman, and I think too something I want to note coming out of this game for Georgia.
Hmm.
I think Georgia's going to hit the portal pretty hard for some receivers.
Yeah.
I think they're going to look to try to get a couple of guys. Um, but you at least you this team is desperately missing an X receiver, like a straight up absolute number one. Um, and they are also needing those tight ends to take their play up a notch as well. I mean, I'm curious to see what the identity of this offense is going to be because I mean, guys like Oscar Delp is very talented. He's going to have to take his play up another notch if this team wants to win without having that number one receiver. I mean, because that's what Brock Bowers was that for you as a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Hard. You don't just replace Brock Bowers, a guy like that, overnight. And I think we saw that, with this offense throughout the season. It's been tough, and they need that guy. And for a team like Georgia that's been recruiting so well over the years, and they have hit on a lot of players, and it's tough to continue year in and year out find that type of receiver. When you're steady putting guys in the league or guys transferring. I mean, you had A.D. Mitchell, George Pickens, Lad McConkey, Brock Bowers, so on and so forth. You got these guys coming in and out, but you need to address that in the portal this year, Kory.
Oh, absolutely. And look, sound the alarm for any team out there that's looking at some of the remaining transfer portal wide receivers out there because boy, George is about to bust through the door like the Kool-Aid man. Like I don't think Kirby is playing around this portal season. I think you're coming on to something, Chris. They definitely need receivers for next season, like badly. I think that's one of the reasons why they were in the situation that they were in because they couldn't go downfield on anybody the way that they usually could in years past. And
Mm-hmm.
a dangerous Georgia like that's scoring at will on you, just down the up and down the field like that is
Mm-hmm.
almost an impossible Georgia to beat. And they just didn't have the horses like they had in years past that can get them to that level. So yeah,
They,
I'm
they
definitely with you.
they desperately miss Ra Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his name doesn't we don't talk about much because of his situation, but that's who they needed. That's who they were expecting to be that guy for them. And then things went downhill with him getting caught up with his off the field situation. But yeah, definitely look out for Georgia when some more guys hop in that portal, some more high profile players. Um, when the window opens back up, Georgia will be a player when it comes to getting some receivers. Trust.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, man. I think that's how everything's going to play out in terms of Georgia. Next, they got to pretty much start over with the wide receiver corp if they want to get back to dominating in the SEC again. So we'll see what happens with the Bulldogs going forward in this offseason. But as for Notre Dame, like I said earlier, and you as well, congrats to them. Congrats to Marcus Freeman and company by getting that W. And now it's off to Penn State now, Chris. So,
Mhm.
real quick about Penn State, they defeated Boise State. Boise State did make it a game. What were your thoughts about that game, and what do you look at? I guess we'll have a little early, just a little early discussion. We'll talk more about it probably on
Mhm.
next week's show. What are you looking at in terms of Penn State and Notre Dame in the semifinal game?
I'm looking to see who's going to dominate the trenches. It's just a This is going to be another hard nose who wants it more kind of game where first and foremost the trenches will be the dominating factor with both teams being so tough, so run oriented, um, and also their D lines and defenses being tough too. Like these are really great defenses, Notre Dame and Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, what quarterback's going to make the play? Which quarterback will make the throw when it's needed? Drew Allard can spin it. We saw Riley Leonard make some throws too this game against Georgia. Didn't make many, but when he had to make a throw, he did have a couple really nice throws downfield. So who's going to make the play when it calls time to have the play made? So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can't wait for us to kind of talk about that matchup on next week's show. So it should be a fun one. But yeah, man. hats off to Penn State. They took care of Boise State, and yeah, that should be a fun one between those two teams. A very big defensive matchup coming up, and we'll definitely break that all down some more when we get a chance.
All right. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Chris, now I think we need to go ahead and move on to Texas and Arizona State. What a thriller this game was on New Year's Day. I I thought it would never end. I think a lot of people never thought it would end. Sark didn't think it was gonna end. Um, Auburn, the kicker, he definitely didn't want it to end. So, but overall, it had to be a winner. Chris, Texas wins in 2 OT over Arizona State, 39-31. Nearly escaped. Cam Scatterbo once again showcases to us why, and I've said it, Chris, why this man should have had been given a fifth seat in New York for the Heisman. He may not have won it, but I think what this man showed us in the Peach Bowl is a player that definitely no one should overlook as we head closer and closer to the NFL draft in 2025. So, what were your thoughts about this game, Chris? Because man, it was a thriller like I've never seen before.
Yeah. No, this game was off the rails. It was wild.
It was
I,
bonkers.
it was unhinged. Arizona State. When you look at the stats, when you watch the game, you're like, how did this team lose? And I mean, that's just respectfully, um, Texas had some explosive plays, but and we're I'm going to give credit to Texas for making it happen and finding a way to win. Um, but boy, this one had you if you're in Austin, if you're a Longhorns fan, your stomach was in knots for a good hour watching this game because all of a sudden Arizona State found life, and then when that spark happened, they turned it up, and next thing you know, you're in overtime. Your kicker can't make a kick. You 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 almost want to go for every fourth down. You can't even trust the kicker to give you the points, and you got it centered up, and he misses. It don't matter where the ball is at. It could be on the hash, and he's missing. I mean, this game has some of everything. Um, but credit to Texas for finding a way. But this kind of happens too when I think Texas continues to not play up to its best abilities. And when you do that, Arizona State, despite the score of the game in the fourth, before they turned it up, they had moments and showed that they can make something happen. They just weren't converting and getting that fourth down that you need and then putting points on the board. Like they just couldn't make that play, but they were moving the ball. And then they couldn't make that play until they finally did make that play. And then once it happened, it was like the levees busted. Just everything just started to unravel, and Arizona State was making all the plays, and Texas couldn't make any more plays. So, but and Texas does what they were supposed to do throughout this game. It shouldn't have gotten to that point in the fourth quarter, Kory.
No, not at all, Chris. It like they nearly dropped the ball literally in this ball game. Like this this was literally close to being Arizona State's game. Look, you can say what we want to say about the Phantom. helmet to helmet
Mm-hmm.
call, the no call on that. I personally thought it was helmet to helmet. Clearly, there was contact made in the head or neck area, but refs didn't see it that way. Officials didn't see it. They didn't call it. That definitely helped Texas gain some new life because had that
Mm-hmm.
call been made, I don't even think we would be talking about that. There's no way we would be talking about Texas advancing to the
You
next
might be
round.
you might be looking for a new home, brother. If that penalty was called, I think Austin might have burned down
I
overnight.
I think so too. I think this would have been a no fly zone, no drive zone. Like there's no way. I'm not leaving the state of Texas because I can't. You know, I oh my gosh, like it would have been pandemonium, Chris, and I think it was enough pandemonium as it was with the events of the game that you had just mentioned, but um, I kind of gotta give a shout out to just the resiliency of someone like Quinn Ewers. That this is a guy that could have just like laid down with the rest of his team. He found a
Mm-hmm.
way to get the ball in the air for a touchdown to win the ball game at the end. Um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so
He made a play.
yeah, he made a play, made a heck of a play, and it paid dividends for them in the end. So yeah, I think overall, what a heck of a game in terms of their next opponent, and we're about to get into them right now. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way. There is no way, none so ever, Chris, that they're going to be able to play a game like this in potentially beating an Ohio State. We saw what happened with Oregon in the Rose
Mm-hmm.
Bowl. Ohio State drug Oregon from the first quarter all the way to the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah Smith is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's one thing you having to stop Cam Scatterbo. And Cam Scatterbo, I think, played himself into the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. I think. I
Mm-hmm.
believe before then, he was a little bit probably like a fourth or fifth rounder, maybe. But now, I think the guy has played himself into at least the first 3 rounds. In terms of who Texas is about to play against now, you went from Cam Scatterbo to Jeremiah Smith, a guy that we've talked about on this show that needed opportunities just to showcase his skill sets. He showed out at the Rose Bowl. Now Texas
Mm-hmm.
has to deal with that. What are your thoughts about that, Chris? Because I don't think if you're Texas, you should be playing around with anybody at this point. Especially Jeremiah Smith because he can hurt
Yeah. We're about to see. Can you just turn the switch on? Part of me feels like Texas is just the Texas version of Miami. A team that that
you. I'm thinking of you saying that, and I'm just like, I got the season, Miami season, just flashing before my eyes, and I'm just putting burnt orange over. I'm like, yeah, that's about right.
yeah, they're the same team. It's just that Texas is in Austin and plays in the SEC. So we kind of got some some different colored glasses, some rose colored glasses to be able to let them pass by. But Texas seems to kind of just you don't know what you're getting from them. And maybe Ohio State will bring the best out of Texas. Maybe Texas will finally play like that Texas team that we think they are, except Kory It's the semifinals. It's national semifinals. We should know if you're this team by now. We shouldn't be hoping that you finally play up to that.
We shouldn't, but it's Texas, Chris. Like there's a gift that keeps on giving. They've been doing this all season long. Why should I expect anything less than what I've been given
Yeah,
all season?
and that's what's scary about this game. So if they play like the team they've been playing like this entire season, it might get ugly. It might. It very well might. Because we'll talk about Ohio State here very very soon, very quickly. They are on another level currently than everybody left in the playoff.
Absolutely, absolutely, Chris. No, you're right. So whatever that Texas needs to do to clean everything up before they take on Ohio State, look, do it now because you're about to, go from going up against one of the most dynamic running backs in college football this year, to going toe to toe against one of the dynamic wide receivers in the game right now. So, and he's just a freshman. So, good
Mm-hmm.
luck. Good luck to you on that, Steve Sarkeesian and company. So, yeah, man. Hats off to Texas by being resilient and making the necessary plays to beat Arizona State. And shout out to Arizona State. No one was looking for them all season. This was a team that was picked dead last in the Big 12 conference. No one had any sight set on them winning a Big 12 championship and being in the college football playoff. No one saw that. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. Great
Mm-hmm.
job by Arizona State in making it this far. And they were very close. They but overall they had a great season, and now you can hope. All you can do is hope to build on to a season like this and go from there.
Yeah. Um, that's all you can do. Shout out to Arizona State, man, on a incredible season, and Coach Dillingham. We have not seen the last of him.
I don't
I
think
have a
so.
feeling. I think Arizona State will find a way in the playoff again. I'm not going to necessarily say next season, but this team will be in the hunt and will make its presence known again. Arizona State isn't going anywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, man, we'll definitely see what happens going forward with Arizona State. And yeah, kind of like what you said, shout out to Kenny Dillingham. What an exceptional coaching job he did by getting these guys together, focused, and getting to the college football playoff, the first ever 12-team playoff. So we'll see what happens with them moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, I think it's time. Let's go ahead and just get into Oregon versus Ohio State, the Rose Bowl. Like I said, Oregon had no shot against Ohio State. 41-21 was your total in this ball game. Ohio State now advances to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl to take on Texas, and that game should be a very fun game right now. I think the line has Ohio State at 6 right now,
Mhm.
so that should let you know um, how Vegas feels about Ohio State. I gotta say it, Chris. I'm gonna let you get your bars off. This is a dangerous Ohio State team. I'm gonna say it out of the last teams that we have in this playoff, they are the most dangerous, most scary team in this playoff right now. I would not be taking this team lightly. Their defense is playing lights out right now. Their offense is deadly. What are your thoughts about Ohio State right now, Chris? Because they took Oregon to the woodshed.
Yeah. This is the team when we were talking in the preseason about, who's the best team in the nation, who's our preseason prediction to win it all. Ohio State was my team. And
Mm-hmm.
you look on paper, you saw the moves they made in the portal. You know how Ryan Day has been recruiting out of high school. And you look at everything and you look at the squad and you say, man, it's going to be tough to beat this team. And then the regular season happened and they struggled and were winning games, but it wasn't sexy. You get a narrow victory against Nebraska. The sky is falling and you lose to to be honest with you, a booth, a stinky, a bad Michigan team. This is like the worst Michigan team we've seen in the 2020s. This is a it's a really bad Michigan team, honestly, Kory. It's
All time terrible offense.
yeah, like it hurt to watch them play offense, and somehow, some way, Michigan beat Alabama and Ohio State this year.
Look, we didn't even
It's
mention
college
that.
football for you.
Just college football for you folks. It is what it is. I mean, maybe next year, old Alabama faithful. Not this year.
But despite all of that, it feels like this coaching staff, Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, had a come to Jesus meeting. They have figured it out. The Tennessee game and now the Oregon game. This is a brand new offense, the best of both worlds. With the running game is now even better than what it was prior, and it's not the priority. They are passing to open up the run. They have realized that they have three of the best wide receivers in the nation, and we have a veteran quarterback that we handpicked out the portal. Let's let them cook, and they are cooking.
They are.
Um, and you got baby Julio. I can't even call him baby Julio Jones. I mean Jeremiah Smith. And I'm people don't say we're crazy or say I'm crazy when I say this, but if you are watching this young man play football, it's like watching Julio Jones. It's like if Julio Jones and Nico Collins were fused together. You get Jeremiah Smith. He is incredible. He is a freak. The fact that he is this good as a true freshman, this skilled, so developed, like so physically mature, he's special. I would draft him top 5 today if he could go out to draft. Remember when Mike Williams at USC back in the day when we were back in the early 2000s tried to go in the draft early, and Maurice Claret tried to go in the draft early before he could go in the draft. Those guys tried to do that. If Jeremiah Smith could go in the draft early, I bet you some NFL scouts, they would tell you to pick him top 10 as a freshman right now. He's that great.
Yeah. No, no, you're absolutely right, Chris. Yeah, man, he is definitely a freak of nature out there. Of course, I mean, no one on that Oregon defense could stop that man in the Rose
Mm-mm.
Bowl. He was
Mm-mm.
playing lights out with his hair on fire. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I could have thought I was out there watching Ultra Instinct Goku out there, but it was what it was, man. He was balling, and no one could stop him, and it just showcased to us that Ryan Day finally allowed this man to be him, let him loose, let him get involved in this offense, and now they're paying dividends.
It is. They have made their receivers the focus of this offense, and they're attacking down the field. If you leave anybody one on one, they're going to expose you. If you play zone, you gotta pick your poison. Somebody's going to find an open spot in the zone. I mean, this offense is clicking, and they Oregon got beat down, and Oregon is a a very good. This is a great football team.
Very good team. Had a great year.
Had a great year. I think that game could have been even uglier. It could have got even worse. Um, and that's the crazy thing. You know, there's still some levels to this Ohio State team that I think that can they're going to show us going forward in this next game. They didn't have a great season, and maybe we're crowning them too soon. I don't think so, but they didn't have just a dominant season. But peak for peak, man, this team keeps playing like this in this playoff. You're going to be hard pressed finding a team as good as this Ohio State team over the last few years. We'll see if they can finish the job. But when this team is playing at its best, like they had been against Tennessee and now Oregon, this team is a monster, Kory.
It's scary. It's scary. I personally see it right now as I don't see anyone that can stop them. The closest team that I think that can do it could be Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is possibly a better team, a slightly better
Mm-hmm.
team than Penn
Mm-hmm.
State. And I say slightly. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
And
see.
I don't think they would be. There's a little mental factor going on with Ohio State, Penn State too. With
Yeah.
Penn State not necessarily getting over that hump. It's like a Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills kind of thing, or a Chiefs 49ers kind of thing. When you Ohio State just can, they always win against them.
Right. It is what it is. So yeah, I think pound for pound right now we're looking at the most talented team in Ohio State that could possibly win this whole
Is
thing.
playing the best football. They're
Yeah,
executing the best too. So not only are they more talented than you, they're playing better than you at this moment. That's a combination that can't be beat.
absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now, and I until I can see something different. Right now, I gotta crown them. Right now, they're playing some really good football, and teams are gonna have to stop them. And if you can't stop them, good luck because it's gonna be a long day for you. That
Mm-hmm.
defense is
Mm-hmm.
scary, and the
Yeah.
way that they've been running Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins, we didn't even talk about them. I think is the I think they've complemented each other the best at this point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They're
And
the yin and yang effect between them is paying dividends right now in this playoff.
it is, and it's an underrated point um, that isn't really being looked at, but they've been splitting the backfield, the carries a lot, and I think those two guys are extremely fresh for us to be this deep into the season. And we have added games with the playoff format. They didn't play in the Big Ten championship game, so you got a little bit more rest and less wear and tear on your body from missing out on that game. So Ohio State's very fresh right now, very fresh. Those backs are very fresh, and it's we're seeing it play out.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They're peaking at the right time. They haven't had much punishment this season. They're finally getting those touches, and they're finally dividing those touches. And like, yeah, it's definitely working out for the both of them late in this playoff. So hey, hats off to Ryan Day. He's like caught the genie in the bottle, Chris. Like
Mhm.
he's got lightning in the bottle right now. They're playing very
Yeah,
good football.
yeah, no, they're playing excellent football, and their Big Ten counterpart play some good football too in their quarterfinal game to advance to the semis.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. Penn State had a really good game against Boise State overall, and yeah, we're gonna see what happens between Penn State and Notre Dame. So yeah, man, great quarterfinal. I very much enjoyed this quarterfinal, and yeah, we'll definitely see what happens in the semis.
Yeah, yeah. We have an idea of how we think things will play out. Um, of course, man, it's really interesting. When you think about the history of Ohio State and Texas, it's quite funny that these two teams are meeting. Um, you go back to the 2000s and Vince Young coming in the shoe, and taking on Troy Smith before he became Troy Smith and took over that quarterback room. And then you also had the Colt McCoy game, and I mean it's there's been some high profile matchups between these two storied programs. So we'll see how things play out in this one, the national semifinal. Um, it'll be another chapter between these two programs. That's I'm looking forward to that. I'm probably going to honestly watch some probably one of the little 30-minute versions of those old games, and look back on those when these two teams met up before, because it was a whole lot of fun when especially that Vince Young game.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was, man. Definitely was. So yeah, I can't wait to watch both of these semifinal games. I know me and you are going to be talking about them both, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. Who's going to be heading to the national championship game? I'm just excited to see what unfolds in this
Oh
playoff.
yeah,
So should be fun.
yeah. It will be. Get to get to look back on some of those. I'm gonna look back on some of these matchups, and we had some Vince Young put on a show, when when he played Ohio State. And speaking of putting on a show, you think we should go ahead and crown him?
Let's go ahead and crown him. I already got his crown made out for him. I etched it for him. I made sure it got buffed out for him. Let's go ahead and crown our Chief of the Week quarterfinal edition. Chris, I'm going to leave the floor to you. Who's your Chief of the Week?
My chief of the week is freshman sensation, a player that we have been pumping up on this podcast all season long, a player that I feel like it feels like Ryan Day might be listening to our pod. We have been begging and pleading for Ohio State to get the ball in this young man's hands to target him, and that is freshman receiver Jeremiah Smith. Um, Man, he's from Miami Gardens, Florida. I know Miami has to be sick that he left. They couldn't keep him home.
Can you imagine if he played for the Hurricanes this season?
Ooh, the Miami would still be playing.
They would definitely still be playing, and there's no one in the country that's going to touch that offense at all.
Jeremiah Smith over the top, Restrepo underneath
Oh my
in the
god.
intermediate. Yeah, yeah.
It was dangerous enough
Nah,
of an offense with Restrepo.
exactly.
You had Jeremiah
And,
Smith. Crazy.
yeah, no, it would have got real ignorant. But Jeremiah Smith, speaking of getting real ignorant, he showed out in this game.
Yes, he did.
Um, The young man had 7 receptions, 187 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, big play after big play. Um, you're watching something special when you watch him play football, and he's incredible. Ohio State has they are making him the focal point of this passing attack. And that's saying something when a Emeka Egbuka is on the other side of the field and he's a first round talent in his own right, a very good wide receiver, a Sunday guy. Um, but he doesn't compare to Jeremiah Smith. We we're watching the second coming of Julio Jones, people. I'm just telling you now. This he he's insane. Um, if you throw it up, more than likely he's going to come down with it. He will also route you up too. That post that corner post that he
Oh,
ran
oh my
that
gosh.
just turned the defender around and had him going the other way thinking he ran a corner and next thing you know it's a post.
Oh my gosh. He had the man going in circles.
Yeah, I mean he's already a polished route runner at this point in his career. Um, Jeremiah Smith, one of one. Um, he's the chief of the week, and I think there's a good chance he'll win another chief of the week honor. Because he's just that good. And Ohio State, the things are clicking now. They understand Kory. Let's get him the ball. Maybe they've been saving this all season. Hey, if you win the national championship, cool, so be it. But y'all played a dangerous game. Wait until now to finally unleash the Kraken.
You think he was Pandora's box all along? You think they were just waiting? They had like one of the the football office people just like holding the door all this time, and Ryan Day said open it, and then out comes Jeremiah
Hey,
Smith wreaking havoc.
maybe so. Maybe Ryan Day is a mad genius. You know.
He's the new version of the Man Hatter. Like
Hey,
let's not step
whatever he is,
aside.
it's working. So
It's working.
that for sure. So yeah, shout out to Jeremiah Smith. We are your biggest fan on the Breakdowns Sportscast.
Yeah, absolutely. The BDS definitely respects your game, Jeremiah Smith. Me included, I gotta give it to Jeremiah Smith as well. It just seeing him play the way he does. Physical wide receiver. I mean, just seeing him get his award after the game just made me see how big of a frame he has as well. Hey, you're coming on to something, Chris. He definitely does remind me of a Julio Jones type receiver
Mm-hmm.
or Dez Bryant. Those physical looking receivers out there with those wide frames. Yeah, if I'm a DB, maybe I'm gonna let you go and get this touchdown.
Yeah, look, and it ain't no fun bringing him down. You
No.
know, not when you a 5'11", 6 foot, 180 pound soaking wet DB. And you trying to take down this tank who's already 215 out of high school.
There's no way. There's no way. It's like seeing if Derrick Henry was a great wide receiver and not a great running back. This is what he would look like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's frightening, and you got to worry about him for 2 more seasons if you play Ohio State in the Big Ten. So have fun with that.
Look, I gotta play the world's smallest violin for the rest of the Big Ten conference. Just because good luck trying to stop this guy.
You're not going to, and maybe that is why Michigan is going all in on offense and recruiting. You got Bryce Underwood because
I,
the game is about to turn to some shootouts, Kory.
I think they know. They like, look, if we get 3-star corner, 4-star, 5-star, it don't matter. We're not stopping this guy. So we need to get all hands on deck and stop this
We just
guy.
we just gonna have to whoever has the ball last wins. We're just gonna just try to run up the score.
Yeah,
You got to run up the score. But no, yeah, Jeremiah Smith, you are that deal, my friend. You are 101, and salute to you, and good luck as you take on Texas. And that's going to be talk about a battle of wide receivers. Another one on the other side of the field for Texas. Look, Matt Golden, he a bad boy too.
he's pretty bad. He's pretty bad.
We got some receivers in this game, Kory. I mean, man.
This game might be a shootout, and I'm all for it
Oh,
if we get that.
if Texas wants a chance to win, you're gonna have to keep up with Ohio State. So I think Matthew Golden is going to.
I think Chris just went out on us, but yeah, just to kind of pick back up what Chris had mentioned, yeah, you're dealing with one of the best receivers for Ohio State, and you're Texas, and you have Golden, which is a really good receiver on your team as well. I think that's a recipe for a potential shootout in the Cotton Bowl. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this game between these two heavyweights. I can't wait. I know Chris can't wait as well. And yeah, I think we're just gonna be tuned in to see a great game. Can you hear me, bro?
I can.
Okay. Yeah, man. I think overall it was a great week, and yeah, we're definitely gonna be chopping it up over the weekend, and we'll be back potentially on Thursday. We'll have a show possibly on Thursday where we'll start previewing the semifinal games, Chris. So, it should be fun for us, and
Oh
we hope
yeah.
you guys are able to tune into that. But yeah, Chris, before I let you go, sir, outros. Let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12. Holla at your boy. And also on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Of course, we'll be talking college football. We'll be talking some of everything, just all kinds of sports. NFL playoffs on the way as well. I mean, you'll find me just tweeting about it all. So tap in with me.
Nice. Yeah, folks. Yeah, definitely tap in with Chris on the socials. He's always willing to chat with his great fans out there. So yeah. For me, you can find me on X, guys, at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling. We're getting closer to the Rumble, Chris. So that we're getting closer to Rumble season. So that's always a fun time. So yeah, but yeah,
Yes,
guys.
sir. The Rumble gets crazy, and this I'm curious to see how this Rumble plays out. Watch, they're gonna do. There's gonna be some foolishness that goes down this Rumble, Kory.
As always, it's the gift that keeps on giving, Chris. It's it's like Christmas but with wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is the Royal
No,
Rumble. It's full of surprises.
full of surprises. I think I'm not sure if it's gonna happen with the Rumble, but something's gonna play out for John Cena to dip his head back in the picture.
Absolutely. I think if you're Triple H right now, you cooking up something, for the audience out there. So yeah, man, I can't wait to watch the Rumble. I know me and you will definitely be talking about that as well. But yeah, folks. Anytime you want to talk to me about professional wrestling, feel free. I'm always open into having a great discussion about a great art in ring. Yes, sir. But yeah, man. Like I said, Chris, I appreciate you, brother. Always chopping it up here on the Breakdown Sportscast with me. and the good folks out here talking college football. And like I said, everyone, me and Chris should be back next week. We'll take a couple of days off. We should be back probably around Thursday to kind of gear you guys up for the semifinal game. So be sure to tune in to that as well. But other than that, until next time, guys, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We will chat with y'all later, guys. Peace.
Peace.